What is up, Edison Duelists? Happy Saturday. This is Dionysus, aka Young Puds, coming at you guys with some more shameless Hype Beast Gigavice content. Now, as we all know, the ladder reset started earlier this week, and since then I have been, just playing some Yu-Gi-Oh! Here and there, trying to grind my way back up, in addition to all the work I've been doing with Millivise. But today, I thought I would go ahead and take you through a couple of the most exciting matches that I have run into since ladder reset. So here's a game that we played the other day against user Tomat at 197. We're at 356. Not that rating means much at a time like this. So he's going to go ahead and win the die roll. He is a fan of the channel, so thank you for... Thank you for watching, dog. He is also shouting out our little puzzle, having the read that the opponent was French. I do agree that that was my my magnum opus. I don't know if I'll ever do anything quite as funny as that. Anyways, here we have a handful of equips, so we're just going to go ahead and pick up a couple supervise. So if we do find our way to Gold Sark, Mark of the Rose, SSN plus a plant target, or just a Lone Fire or Foolish Burial, we can have full combo. We're just going to set the Threatening Roar here. I don't want to commit the Mirror Force just yet. Here he is going to drop both Pyramid Turtles and swing in with them. So we'll take both of those. Now I'm wishing, of course, that I had set the Mirror Force instead of the Threatening Roar. So I'll just go ahead and set the Mirror Force now. I'll also go ahead and set this Geki Break. He does have Heavy Storm in hand, but with those two sets there, I'm not feeling too concerned about Heavy Storm. He's going to go ahead and swing in with the Pyramid Turtles, and we're going to have to clear those with Mirror Force. He's also going to Dust Tornado one of my two remaining back row, and then set the MST, so really any back row that I have is definitely not going to be sticking around. We're going to go ahead and go Lone Fire for Lone Fire. To try and combo off, we'll put our Gigaplant on the field. We will equip it with Supervise, and then, of course, at this time, we will be met with that compulsory evacuation device. We're just going to be forced to pass here, but this is really a pretty good position. We have Raigeki Break to clear a back row or stop any truly devastating plays, and then we can just Mark of the Rose DDR and combo from there. So he's going to put a Plague Spreader Zombie on the field. We are going to allow this. No real harm, no real foul. He's going to get that Revived King Hades up on the field. He'll also resolve Gobzom to get a Zombie Master. So he's going to swing in for 2450. We have a hand with one of each of equips, as well as our Gigaplant. He is going to set one and pass. We are going to Raigeki Break to destroy that newest one, and we do get Nettles into our hand for turn. So we're going to go ahead and Mark of the Rose, and now this is a pretty good spot, because we can always just Nettles Synchro Summon here, have a nice low to the ground play, so we're not playing into anything too terrible. However, he does MST the Mark of the Rose. It's fantastic for us, because now we can DDR the Gigaplant and feel free to go off, as the kids say. Go off, king. Yes. You know what I mean? So we'll get our Lone Fire onto the field, and then we'll go ahead and summon out another Gigaplant. We'll normal summon that Gigaplant and go Lone Fire for, wait for it, Titanial. There you have it. And then Titanial swings over the Revived King Hades. Unfortunately, that is putting 3 darks into our opponent's graveyard, but we are going to hit in for big damage off both of Gigaplants. So feeling pretty good. I do pass the turn. Here our opponent is going to draw a Deep Sea Diva, which I feel like that's pretty good. I don't think he's going to want to use the Diva right away, but he's definitely going to have some options. He's just going to start things off simply by going for that Dark Armed Dragon. Then he will Zombie Master, discarding the Diva to bring back the Plague Spreader Zombie and go for that Go-Yo Guardian. Go-Yo Guardian is going to trade with the Titanial, and then he's going to be able to run over one of our Gigaplants with the Dad. It, of course, will come back off of Supervise, and then he's going to banish 2 darks, leaving just the Plague Spreader Zombie to clear the rest of our board. So he'll pass back to us on just a Dad. We do rip an Upstart Goblin off the top, which we're going to fire, and we are fortunate enough to find our way into a Miracle Fertilizer. So we're going to get to keep playing. We're not quite dead yet. So we'll swing, and we'll crash with the Dad with the Titanial, and pass again. So now both opponents here, we're just top decking. He does tip to Optech a Caius, which is going to keep him off from committing the field, which is also good for us because it means we have enough time to draw the supervise here. So he's going to go ahead and pick up a Spirit Reaper, which is absolutely devastating for us. He's going to swing in, and we're going to lose our supervise. Probably should have set that. What can you do, folks? Then main phase 2, he is going to go ahead and set that Caius back on top of his deck to go ahead and make a Catastor here, just trying to have a very threatening board presence. We do top deck into a Dandelion, so we're just going to set that, and then we pass. He does find the Caius the Shadow Monarch, and he's just going to attack into our Dandy tokens. Very fortunate for us that he didn't tribute and banish it. So now we have a little bit of defense, a little bit of breathing room. Let's see what we can find. We do find a Miracle Fertilizer, which is just about perfect, but unfortunately into Catastor, that's not going to be quite enough. So I do just choose to pass, thinking, okay, we just need one more turn, we could top deck something good, and then go from there. He top decks an Instant Fusion, which, the good news is that he can't attack with that, but what he can do is he contributes Summon for Caius to clear one of our tokens, attack the other token with Catastor, and then swing in for 2400 with Caius. So that's leaving us with just 50 life points, barely hanging on by a thread. And our opponent points out very correctly that if he wins, he played right, and if we win, it's content. And I gotta say, folks, when I read that, I was like, well, that's true. But honestly, this is such a close game, I'm probably posting it no matter what. So we're going to go ahead and fire the Upstart Goblin. We do pick up a Threatening Roar, which is absolutely perfect, because now we're going to be able to bring back Gigaplant and then set the Threatening Roar. So just trying to buy one more turn to live. He picks up a Trap Dust Shoot, which is not going to be enough. We, of course, will Threatening Roar to keep our Gigaplant on the field. And now we get a Super Solar Nutrient. Not a particularly useful draw, but we are kind of starting to snowball our advantage back into this game. So we go Gigaplant, we bring back Nettles, and then we're going to go ahead here and make the Black Brute Drago. I know that loses to Catastor, but hear me out. I feel like, okay, we run over the Caius. This is also a lot safer if he has Mirror Force. So, yeah, that was just the thinking there. That was the plan. Because, like, if he had Mirror Force and it's Stardust, and then I negate with Stardust, Stardust comes back, he can trade the Catastor with the Stardust for a turn and then attack directly with Caius. So that's why we went for Black Brute Drago. Anyways, he's going to go ahead and draw a Card Trooper for turn, which is it's a fine draw, but it's not going to be quite enough because, of course, the Gigaplant that comes back off of Black Brute Drago is not something that Card Trooper is going to be able to deal with. So he chooses just to pass, leaving up that very threatening Black Brute Drago. And then we do rip the Mark of the Rose for turn. So we can just go ahead and take that Catastor for ourselves and then attack with the Card Trooper and attack for game. So GG, that was a crazy one. Really, really tough. And he is correct. If he had gotten that Mizuki Mill, we would have lost. So here we go. Game number 2 versus Zombies. We're opening up very strong. For Hidden Armory, Foolish Burial. What more could you want, right? Well, maybe an out to Fossil Dyna. So we have Heavy Storm, so I'm feeling good about that, but we still need to find an out to that Fossil Dyna. And he's got Torrential Tribute to boot, so he definitely could be in trouble. He's going to set a Pyramid Turtle as well. We do find a DD Crow. That's not particularly helpful, so I'm just going to set the Hidden Armory here. And he's going to go ahead and find his way to that Goblin Zombie and swing with the Fossil Dyna, setting the Goblin Zombie as well. So even if we clear the Fossil Dyna, we've still got quite a little bit to get through. We're going to go ahead and Hidden Armory now. We do mill a Trunade, but since we already have Heavy, I'm not feeling too bad about losing that. Then I am just going to set the DD Crow and set the Super Solar Nutrient. I want to keep the rest of these cards in my hand. Crow's really valuable, but not in a situation like this. You know, he doesn't have any graveyard going, so it's also paying off. He decides to respect it. He doesn't want to attack into, I don't know, perhaps a Sangan or something that would let me find it out. Now we're going to draw another Upstart. We'll fire that. We do find DDR, which is, it's a cool draw, but it's ultimately not what we need. So I do decide to set the other Super Solar Nutrient and then pass. He's going to draw. This time he finds a Caius, which of course he's going to Tribute Summon. And very bad for us. We're going to take 1,000 points of burn damage because DD Crow is in fact a dark. He'll search a Plague Spreader zombie off of that Goblin zombie he tributed, move the Fossil Dynamite to defense, playing around a potential Mirror Force, and then swing in for 2,400. Seems pretty good to me. Now, we do find the Nettles, but it's one turn too late. It is quite a shame. So we are instead going to be forced to go ahead and Heavy Storm right now, just to clear the way for the back row. You know, this is the time where we have to out the Fossil Dyna right here, right now. Fortunately, we have a pretty good way to do that. We can Marker the Rose, banish the Lone Fire, steal the Caius, battle phase, run over the Fossil Dyna, and then main phase 2, we can DDR, discarding Nettles, summon back Lone Fire. Lone Fire effect is going to get us the second Lone Fire, and then we get Gigaplant. We have the Supervise for that, so we'll bring back Lone Fire, go for Copy Plant. Here we're going to sink 7 for a Power Tool Dragon, just trying to generate more advantage. We do, in fact, find our way to that Mark of the Rose, so that 66% failed to round up for us. That's totally fine because we do still have our normal summon, so we are going to go ahead and go for a second Power Tool Dragon. I feel like he's not on Cyber Dragon, so we find our way to a Supervise, and now we have a pretty good board. Tough for him to out. He needs a lot of specific things, so let's see if we can get through it here. He is going to go ahead and make a Goyo Guardian, and unfortunately for us, that is going to be the third Dark Engrave. So that'll be GG game 2, and here we go for game number 3. Feeling very good to open up strong with Lone Fire Supervise, so we are just going to go right for the one Lone Fire into Gigaplant, into a Power Tool Dragon, and then Power Tool is going to search us for 2 Supervises and a Mark of the Rose. 66% is rounding up, so we bring back Lone Fire after equipping the Supervise to Gigaplant, get Titanial, fire both of our upstarts after combo, and then our opponent is going to go and just set the Pyramid Turtle and 2 back row. We did just do 1 Lone Fire on that one turn because I did have the Super Solar Nutrient and the Dandelions, so I said, you know, let's try and get some value. So here we are going to use Power Tool first, in case he has like a Compulse he wants to chain to our Trunade. And we do hit another Supervise, which is excellent for us. And so now we'll use Giant Trunade, bounce everything back, and then we are going to go ahead and use the Supervise on the Gigaplant to bring back Lone Fire Blossom. And then here we're going to go for Nettles. We will Synchro Summon 8 for Stardust Dragon, and then Supervise will bring back Gigaplant. At this time, we can give that Gigaplant a Supervise as well, and then go for Copy Plant. And then we're going to make a Black Rose Dragon here, just to put this guy in face-up attack and see what we're dealing with. Unfortunately here, I think, you know, if we had properly had a read that this was Pyramid Turtle, tough read to make, we could have gone like Red Dragon Archfiend, just to try and close out the game a little bit faster. But this is perfectly fine. We are in an excellent spot. So we've got that Lone Fire Blossom banished. Doesn't really matter because we still have all of our tuners and Titanial in play already. We are going to attack the Pyramid Turtle with the Stardust. He's going to go for a second Pyramid Turtle hanging on. We'll attack that one with Power Tool Dragon. Here comes the Goblin Zombie. We swing over that one. We do allow him to get a Plague Spreader Zombie, and then we sing for 24. And I choose not to swing just with the Titanial, playing around Gores a little bit. He's going to go. He does have an instant fusion for Dark Fire Dragon here, and then he is going to go ahead and summon out the Plague Spreader Zombie. I decide that what we want to do here is we want to Book of Moon the Plague Spreader Zombie. He's committed his normal summon, and he's not going to be able to Synchro Summon anymore if this is face down. Like if we let it get into the graveyard and we try and Book of Moon something else, then he can always just use its effect to make another Synchro monster or something like that. So I think Book of Moon on the Plague Spreader Zombie here is the most impactful choice that we can make. And indeed, that's correct, because now our opponent is just going to set all of his back row and end his turn. He does lose that fusion monster because it's the end of the turn. He summoned it off of instant fusion. We pick up a DDR, which is excellent because that Lone Fire banished can summon a Gigaplant. So now, even if everything goes catastrophically wrong, we're still in a pretty good spot. We do pick up a Mark of the Rose for turn, and now I'm going to Black Rose Dragon to put the Plague Spreader Zombie into attack position. Not going to need any more copy plans. We've already summoned Black Rose, and we have no equip left in deck for Power Tool to search. So we'll go ahead and attack with Titanial. He, of course, does chain the Compulse, but we will use Titanial's effect, and then we are going to swing in for 2300. that is going to run into a pyramid turtle off of the Call of the Haunted. So he's going to live on 200 life points, but he doesn't have any zombies left to summon. So that is going to be GG. Or rather, he's probably got a zombie master, but that would just die to Stardust Dragon and then swing game. So GG to that first opponent. Very, very tight game one, going down to 50 life points. Next up, we have a match against our perennial rival, Mron. Mron, very good duelist, oftentimes on the Vayu deck. Here, as you see, he's maining Oppression, which is just a very hateful, rude type of thing to do. We're going to start off pretty slow, just Gold Sark into Lonefire, and now we are playing the Can I Survive 2 turns and then win game. Off to a pretty good start with that. Seeing Necro Valley banished always makes me happy, and then just Armageddon Knight to put a Vayu in grave. I'm feeling pretty good about that. So we're going to draw a Dust Shoot, and we will set that. He is going to draw a Nimble Mega Hamster, and we do fire the Dust Shoot. Not the best Dust Shoot in the world, but at the very least we can put back the Armageddon Knight so he doesn't have a definite way to dump the Sirocco in the graveyard. However, he does mill the Sirocco and a second Vayu to boot off of the Charge of the Light Brigade, which is going to be a bit of a problem. I feel relief when I see that he gets Raikou instead of Lila, so he's not just going to be able to completely dunk on me with that Solemn Judgment. Lila into Solemn Judgment always feels bad. He is, however, going to summon the Armed Wing and then just swing in for 1400 and then 2300. So now it's going to be our turn. We don't have a lot of life points left. He's setting a Raikou. We've got quite a little bit to deal with. We are going to get the Lone Fire Blossom back. I do think carefully here, and I decide, okay, I could Heavy Storm, but I also have a Solemn Judgment to just use on whatever his set is. So we're going to do that. The merit of using the Heavy Storm there is we preserve a little bit of life points, but ultimately, side, I would rather just put the pressure on, so to speak. Here, the big problem that we have to deal with is that we know he has Caius, we know he has Nimble Hamster, and then we also don't want to give him a way to get Armed Wing. So pretty tough here to navigate the best way to completely clear this board. Ultimately, I decide that I want a little bit more gas, and I'm going to go for a Power Tool Dragon first. This is going to be really helpful. Then we do get a Gigaplant, and now I have Power Tool Dragon using its effect. If we hit the Supervise here, we have a very good line. If not, we can still find our way forward with that Mark of the Rose comboing with DDR. I do end up hitting the Supervise, so very fantastic here. We're going to Supervise for Gigaplant, and then what I decide to make is another Power Tool Dragon here, because I see the line to push for game, and I'm going to take it. So we use Power Tool Dragon. If we hit the extra Supervise here, that's really good. DDR works just as well. We do hit the Supervise here, so what we're going to do is we're going to Gigaplant, use effect, bring out Lone Fire, and then Lone Fire Blossom is going to get us to Nettles. And then here, do you see it, folks? We are going to Mark of the Rose to steal the Armageddon Knight, and then we would just make Bryanak and win. And we did have an extra card to discard there. We had 3 cards left in hand after we played the Supervise. So if we had hit the DDR off that second Power Tool Dragon, we still would have been able to win the game. We just DDR to get the Lone Fire and the Nettles onto the field. So nice game one, fun little line there. And let's go into game number 2, post a little bit of side decking action. So picking up 2 upstarts and Heavy Storm, Book of Moon. So Heavy Storm, Book of Moon, I'm feeling great about. Lots of outs to any of the nasty cards he might have cited in. And now we just have to find our way to combo. Hidden Armory is one half of it, and Gigaplant is not a great draw. So I'm just going to set the Dandelion here. I decide to hold the Hidden Armory just to see if we can get a little bit more information. There might have been an argument for, okay, we'll just Hidden Armory for Mark of the Rose, but that's a little telling, and frankly, I'd kind of like to just draw another equip, then I can use Hidden Armory to round that out well. So let's see here. He's going off pretty strong here. He's got Grepher resolving. He's got Allure resolving. He's got Armed Wing hitting the field, and he does have a lot of cards banished with that return. So we are definitely not in a great spot here. We do get our tokens out, and then of course Armed Wing just kills one. So now we are going to go ahead and draw it. We do find our way to Copy Plant. So here I'm going to Hidden Armory and get Mark of the Rose. And now definitely, folks, right here, what I wanted to do, I think the correct play is going to be to use the Heavy Storm. I have the True Nade as well, but this is a chance to clear all 3 back row, at the very least waste judgment, and it definitely plays around return a little bit better. Just to, if he does have return, it's just wasted now, because now we're just going to lose to return straight up. So we can watch that happen. That might be fun for us. So he'll go ahead and summon another armed wing, swing for 23 and 23, and then he'll flip the return. So if we had heavy stormed there, would have been a very, very different story. Perhaps we could have held on and won, but of course we didn't. And so here we are in game 3. We do open fantastic here, though. Lone Fire supervised, True Nade in the back. We're going to upstart now. I wasn't sure if I wanted to go for Stardust or Titanial, so I was like, okay, well, maybe depending on what I draw with upstart, that'll influence my decision. And of course, I draw Titanial, so I'm feeling like, okay, I should have just made Titanial, and then I could have gotten literally anything else. We went for Titanial here to play around something like DD Crow, which of course he did have. He's going to fire the Allure. He's going to draw 2 and banish 1. Does decide to banish the Dark Grepher, so he's just going to have a set Fossil Dyna and then DD Crow in hand. So definitely a little bit of a threat for us to deal with. We're going to go ahead and Gigaplant into Lone Fire, bring out another Gigaplant. We'll normal summon this Gigaplant and go for the Nettles. And then we're going to make a Stardust here. This is a nice line because it gets us to Stardust without being vulnerable to DD Crow. So we're just going to go ahead and swing with the Stardust, of course negating the Fossil Dyna. And then we'll swing in for 2400 and 2800. So leaving him at just 38. Stardust Dragon comes back, and now we are going to pass. He does, however, DD Crow to handle the Stardust Dragon. Top stack a Burial, which would be nice if there was just one more Dark in play, but of course there's not. So he's just going to set the Burial and set his second Fossil Dyna. We're going to think briefly here, lots of options. Ultimately, I decide to just go ahead and True Nade, just play very safely around the back row. Equip that Supervise back onto Gigaplant, bring back the Gigaplant, and then we will plant to summon out Lone Fire and go for a Copy Plant. And then here we can make a Power Tool Dragon just to get a extra card to have something to discard in case, this is like a Morphing Jar number 2 or something. We do pick up a Supervise, which is fantastic, so I'm actually going to decide to discard the Mirror Force here. So we're keeping full combo in hand. This is going to bring back the Stardust Dragon to play around a potential second Fossil Dyna, which of course is exactly what he has. So GG. Let's go into this next game. This is going to be against Black Wings, against the Doctor is Back, who I run into all the time on ladder. A very, very good player. I think there was a few days ago, or a few months ago, there was a series of like 5 or 6 days where I ran into Doctor is Back every single day at the same time in the evening, always on X Sabers, and we had a lot of really good games. So Doctor is Back is someone who recognizes me even before YouTube, and it's nice to see those folks. So we're gonna go ahead and have to use that Raigeki break early. Meanwhile, he is just going to clear the way off completely of those tokens. We had no combo, so he's just going to Brio to clear both of these tokens and then attack in. And now he is going to swing for almost game, and then Kalut is going to seal the deal. So that's game 1. Hard to be mad at losing a game like that. He had everything, and we had nothing. So I didn't even really, I was too busy introducing him. The game just ended. So here we've got a dust shoot of our own. We are going to upstart twice, and tough situation, real tough break. Copy Plant, Nettles, Titanial. This is not what you want to see. Fortunately, an SSN kind of gets us out of this, but what are you going to do? He summons that Bora and goes right to battle phase pretty fast, but we're going to ask him to, hey, pump the brakes, standby phase, let's dust shoot here. Looking at his hand, I think it is going to be correct to put back the Bora. So that's what we're going to do. Instead, maybe you could argue we want to put back the DD Crow, but I kind of like the idea of just like giving him the value to summon. That's pretty weak. And we're going to pick up a Hidden Armory. Not the best. until we mill a Gigaplant. So that's decent. Now all we have to do is find our way to a Mark of the Rose. So we are going to get DDR, because that way Mark or Gold Sark gives us combo. If we just got Mark of the Rose there, we would have needed DDR. That would be the only thing to get us to combo. So this is just giving us more chances to find the win. He does go ahead and draw the Bora because he didn't shuffle, so he shuffles his deck and then he draws the Bora anyways. You know, sometimes that's just how it goes, you know? So he's going to swing in for 817, so we're taking damage, definitely finding ourselves on the clock. However, we do pick up a Miracle Fertilizer, so now we are going to be able to combo. We are going to fire the Miracle Fertilizer. He is going to allow it through. I think he knows that we have the DDR, and we know that he knows that we have the DD Crow, or he knows that we know. Anyways, lots of public information in this game. So we're going to go ahead and fire the Gigaplant and synchro into a Power Tool Dragon, just starting to extend our field. Supervise is going to activate. Of course, he's going to chain the DD Crow to that. That's totally fine by us. I'm thinking, okay, well, we'll go for Supervise, and Mark of the Rose. We do hit the Supervise, fortunately for us, so now we are just going to go ahead and swing over the Vayu with the Power Tool Dragon. I could go wide here, but if we kill the Bora, now the Dad is live. So in this case, he's going to have to crash the Bora to turn on the Dad, and then all he's going to be able to do is kill the Power Tool Dragon. So he does pick up a Brain Control, which is pretty scary, but fortunately for us, that's not going to be quite enough to put us, you know, to have GG. So he's going to go ahead and drop the Dad, clear out the Bora, or the Power Tool Dragon, and then set one, setting the Threatening Roar. We can probably imagine that's a Threatening Roar, pretty safe bet to make. Here we're going to go ahead and DDR and summon out the Gigaplant. And then now we're going to think about this carefully, but I do decide best play here is going to be Gigaplant. Go ahead and get back the Copy Plant, and then make Black Rose Dragon. Black Rose Dragon seems really strong here because it's going to definitely get the Dark Armed Dragon out of the way, and I know that a Threatening Roar is in play. Of course, he is going to chain the Threatening Roar. Dad is going to be destroyed. We're going to get our Gigaplant back, and we do still have our normal summons. We'll bring out Titanial, and then we'll fire the Gold Sark to pick up a Miracle Fertilizer in 2 turns. That is going to be it. We are going to pass the turn. He is going to top deck a Blizzard, which is just about as good as you can get here. So he's going to go ahead and try and Brain Con our Titanial. Of course, we are going to negate that with the Gigaplant. Got to play it safe, got to play around as many things as possible. He decides to give us another turn. He's not interested in just Blizzy Bora Crash with Goyo, or wasting anything with Bryanak. We pick up a Solemn Judgment here, which is just absolutely a perfect draw. I decided to play around Gores and not swing. I also think big mistake here, probably should have just summoned the Nettles, maybe just swing with the Nettles at least, then Titanial has something to negate with, but you know, that's not what I did. So he's going to go ahead and summon out the Blizzard. We are going to let this through. I figure if he wants to Synchro Summon, we can negate that. So that's exactly what we do. We do negate the Goyo when it comes down, and then now we are picking up not only a Lone Fire, but a Miracle Fertilizer as well. So I'm going to decide to Miracle Fertilizer first for Gigaplant, because that has the potential to snowball us into more advantage than just Lone Fire for Gigaplant. Also going to keep some cards in our hand, give him guessing, give him a little more to worry about, a little more to try and play around. And we're going to swing with both there. And he top deck a Gale, which is actually a pretty good top deck here. Now he can just clear the board with Black Rose, or make an Armor Master, which is going to be even more threatening. So he is going to Armor Master, kill our Gigaplant, get the Fertilizer off the field. We'll take 100. Now it's our turn. We are going to draw an Upstart Goblin, which we're going to activate and drawing into the second Lone Fire Blossom. So, you know, it's something, but it might not quite be enough. So we're just going to go ahead and get a Dandelion onto the field just to have a little bit more field presence. See what we can play around, give us something to negate with Titanial. Getting the second Gigaplant out wouldn't be good at all because he can just run right over that with the Armor Master. He's going to top deck an MST, which doesn't really do much, so he'll just swing over our Dandelion, get us to 2 tokens, and then we are going to draw a Super Solar Nutrient for turn. That is actually a decent draw. We can you know, at least kind of extend with, like, we could go super solar nutrient into another dandelion, or we could use it to cheat the nettles onto the field. So we are going to go ahead and use the super solar nutrient, attributing a token to try and summon a level 3 or lower plant from hand or deck. He's going to have the MST for that. We're going to think very carefully here. And I actually decide, believe it or not, to tribute Titanial herself with the token. Why would I do something like that? Well, folks, let me show you. This way, we can bring out a dandelion, and then we can normal summon nettles, right? And then here, we can synchro summon for Bryanak and get our 2 tokens out for a little bit of defense. And then we can just Bryanak, discarding that second Lone Fire, swing in for 2,300. Now he's just at 600 life points, and he's going to draw a Heavy Storm, which is not going to be enough. So this line did lose to Blizzard, I will admit. However, the alternative was to go for Mistworm, and Mistworm didn't also have the tokens up, but I felt like Bryanak, like, this line loses to exactly Blizzard, but then the Mistworm line loses to, like, Mirror Force or Deprison, so that's more cards. And the Bryanak line, I'm going to draw another card, so if he has a Mirror Force or Deprison to set, then I can Bryanak bounce it. So that's the thinking there. We're going to win that game 2. That felt like game 3. That was such a crazy nail biter. And you know, here we go. Let's see how this match turns out. We do have a Lightning Vortex and Heavy Storm, which always makes me happy to see. Lots of defense against any cards that he might be sitting in. We are going to Gold Circ for a Supervise. We're going to take another 1,800, just letting him punch left and right. Here on our next turn, I realize I'm going to have to use a Lightning Vortex now. Otherwise, the Shura is just doing too much damage. So we'll get our 2 tokens off for defense. He is going to top deck into a second Sirocco, so he'll summon one of those, and then he's going to set an MST to go with his Bottomless, leaving us 1 token. Here we are finally getting our Supervise, so now we can go ahead and try and combo. We'll Heavy Storm, clearing the back row, and now we can just go Lone Fire into Lone Fire Blossom, into Gigaplant. Go ahead and use Gigaplant's effect off of Supervise to bring out the Copy Plant from our hand. And now we're getting a Power Tool Dragon. As you can see, we're pushing for big damage here. I'm trying to close out this game. So 2 Supervise and a DDR. Either one is going to give us enough to put 9,000 on board. We do hit the DDR, and that's totally fine because we can just Mark of the Rose, steal the Sirocco, and then DDR, discard that second Mark of the Rose, get our Lone Fire Blossom onto the field, and make a Titanial and swing in for game with everything. So GG to the Doctor is back. I think you definitely have way more wins against me, so I was happy to get this win here. Maybe you should go back to X-Sabers. That was a good deck, dude. Finally, I have one more match. This one is against Lightsworn. He's going to open up in absolutely insane fashion. He's got Charge, he's got Recharge, he's got Lumina, he's putting a Gareth on the field, he's milling Wolves, he's drawing a card with Gareth. What can we do against that, folks? Well, milling Dandy off of Foolish Burial could be a start. So let's see how we play out here. We do Gold Sark for Lone Fire, DDR, bring back the Lone Fire, go into a second Lone Fire. Here comes Gigaplant, we'll equip that with Supervise, bring back Copy Plant, go for Power Tool Dragon. We're just trying to go wide here. And then we are going to go for 2 Supervises and a Mark of the Rose. So we'll use the Supervise that we hit on the Gigaplant to bring out a Nettles, and now we are going to Synchro Summon for a Mistworm with everything there. So that is going to completely clear our opponent's board, putting everything back into the hand, playing around Honest, and then we do get to bring back Gigaplant. We are going to swing in for not quite game. We couldn't quite put game damage on board. We did use Hidden Armory to search for DDR, so we don't have our normal summon anymore. I know this line lost to a lot of things, but I felt like he's in such a strong position. I need to just try and get him low enough that maybe he can't use JD. He does have the Necro Gardener, however, so that's going to kind of shut us down here. And he's just going to completely overwhelm us with a second Recharge. And then here comes JD. We are getting absolutely blown up. And then he's going to extend even further and just have game on the spot with Illumina and then Foolish Burial into Wolf. So that's a tough one. But the good news is right before I queued into this game, I decided to go back to playing Light Imprisoning Mirror in my side deck. So I'm very happy to be drawing that and even to have the option to side it in. Lightsworns really can be a tricky deck, and I do think it might just be worth having the Light Imprisoning Mirror in your side deck. So we're going to have a nice, stable, simple board, Gigaplant, Titanial, setting the Light Imprisoning Mirror. He's going to start off with Recharge once again. However, very happy to see Cold Wave Gores milled for the second time in a row. He's then going to have Charge of the Light Brigade once again, into Lumina once again, and now he is going to be able to do quite a few different things. He's going to summon the Lumina, and fortunately when he uses its effect, we are going to be able to shut that down with Light Imprisoning Mirror. So it's going to be our turn now. We are going to go ahead and use Gigaplant to bring out the second Gigaplant. We'll normal summon that Gigaplant, bring back Lone Fire, and then here we are going to go for Nettles. And Nettles is going to Synchro Summon with the Gigaplant for Stardust Dragon. We have extra protection against like Heavy Storm for our Light Imprisoning Mirror. We'll try and attack. That's going to get shut down by Threatening Roar. So we are just going to set the Dust Shoot and then pass. Our opponent is going to draw, and he's going to ask to think, but we're just going to kind of make his decisions a little bit easier by putting the Plague Spreader Zombie back in the deck. He does have the Foolish Burial, so he still has Plague access if he wants, but he's not going to get to do something really powerful like discarding it off of Lumina. Anyways, he is just going to decide to set the Beckoning Light, set the Threatening Roar, and then pass it back to us. We pick up another Supervise, which is absolutely fantastic. I don't want to commit into any Torrentials or anything, so I'm just going to try swinging. He is going to Threatening Roar once again, so then in main phase 2, I'm going to bring out the Lone Fire Blossom. We have a little bit of flexibility with Lone Fire, but also ideally this is getting us to a Brionac to try and play around any potential Honest that he might draw. So he is going to pick up the Gareth. He activates Lumina, which he can still do just to pay the cost to put the Wolf in the graveyard, and then he's going to Foolish Burial for JD. So I think his plan is like, okay, well at the very least he can Beckoning Light to get back JD after we kill the Lumina, and then maybe try and swing over us from there. Then he's going to threaten a Raikou by setting that Gareth. Of course, Raikou not a big threat under Light Imprisoning Mirror or Titanial or Stardust for that matter, but you know, I appreciate his fighting spirit, his Nash. So we're just going to summon that Brionac, and that is going to be GG. What a good card Brionac is. I would never on this channel say that you don't need Brionac, speak ill of it in any way. He's going to open up once again pretty strong with that Solar Recharge, milling 2, and then he is going to use the second Solar Recharge, finding his way to a Foolish Burial, and then he does find the Honest. So that Honest is going to go perfect with Arcus. Just summoning Arcus is so scary because I can't mark the Rose, so I have to find another way to play around Honest. Fortunately for us, he's not setting anything, so we are really feeling like we're going off to the races here. I draw into a second Mark of the Rose, so I have one of each equip. I have Gold Sark, I have Hidden Armory. I really have all the gas in the universe. So we're going to Gold Sark for Lone Fire Blossom. And, you know, we haven't done a lot of these in a little bit. So it's pretty clear that he is Honest. I know you guys can see his hand, but, you know, pretend you can't. Pretty clear he's got Honest. What line would you take in this position? What would you do? Let me show you what I did. I went ahead and went for DDR, summoning back Lone Fire, use Lone Fire effect, summon second Lone Fire, bring out Gigaplant, equip Supervise, bring back Lone Fire, summon out Copy Plant from deck, make a Power Tool Dragon, Supervise brings back Gigaplant, Power Tool Dragon is going to activate, revealing Supervise, and DDR. This is the last Power Tool activation available to us, and fortunately we do pick up a Supervise. So we're going to go ahead and use the Supervise on the Gigaplant to bring back a Lone Fire, and then Lone Fire tribute the Gigaplant with the Supervise to bring back the Gigaplant and get Nettles, and then Lone Fire and Nettles are going to Synchro Summon for Ally of Justice Catastor. Then we'll use the Hidden Armory we have to get back one of our Supervises and activate the Supervise on the Gigaplant, bring out Lone Fire Blossom, and then Lone Fire Blossom once again is going to tribute the Gigaplant equipped with Supervise to bring out Titanial. Supervise will activate, bringing out Gigaplant. And now Ally of Justice Catastor can attack over Arcus, playing around Honest, and everything else can attack for exactly game. So GG to our opponent. I knew he had Gores potentially, but this is kind of like we just have to, you just have to play into Gores here and hope he doesn't have it in that situation, because he's going to absolutely crack you on the next turn anyways, and we had to deal with it. So fortunately we were able to deal with it. He did not have the Gores, you know, he had the Honest, he had the Lightning Vortex, so we were in big trouble. If he had used Foolish Burial for Necrogardna, that would have been a different scenario, but we probably wouldn't have overextended to the same degree. So GG to our opponent, but that is it. I'm going to keep laddering. I'm going to keep grinding. I hope you guys are going to keep playing Gigavise. More Milivise, 60 card, all that stuff is definitely coming. I just wanted to get these replays out to you guys before they became too stale. All right, this has been Dionysus, aka Young Puds, signing off. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you tomorrow with some more shameless Hypebeast Gigavise content.